Testing. Yeah, there it is. That is so weird, man. This is the second day in a... You can hear me, yeah? You can hear me now? Hi. Can you... Yeah, it looks like... My mic looks like it's working on my end, so hopefully you can hear me. Excuse me. Just triple checking. Let me know in the... Okay, you can hear me. That's fantastic news. It's the second day in a row that my peripheral has not been working when I went for it. I was having my hard drive, so it might be going to sleep. I don't see it in my settings either, which is very strange. It's possible that the device is going to sleep when it's not in use. I'm going to need to check that out. Here, let me see here. Device. Power. Oh, I tell you, man. Shout out to Tim Pool and Allison having a baby girl. Great stuff, man. Children are where it's at. I mean, we are all just grown children after all. If not for children, none of us would be at this point. The first chat Anthony Kinney hit was about the British Empire, and I was like, oh shit, because all I want to do is play some Mass Effect. But he was like, in Canada, we give the British government $50 million a year, and I'm like, yeah, it sucks when your fucking king extorts you. Or taxes. Hey, man. No hate for the people themselves. I just don't like monarchy as a structure. It's weird to have one guy control everybody and like have ownership of all the land that everyone lives on. I'm just used to individual sovereignty and liberty, like United States governance. The individual is sovereign. Together we govern our country. So it saddens me in a way to see people that are bought into the monarchy and are like, or they call themselves loyalists. Sometimes I'm like, geez, you really want Big Daddy government? Well, God, that's about as Big Daddy as it gets. One guy in charge. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's an old, weird way. Warlords take over. If Hitler had won the war, he'd be the king of England right now. I don't like it. Oh, I'm regarding all the Timcast stuff, I can really only repeat and elaborate on what was said publicly and what's been said publicly, ethically and legally. So that's all I'll really do. But, companies change, systems restructure and move forward in different ways. And everybody's got to choose their path. Excuse me. Yeah, man, I wonder why my... I'm going to check my power settings really quick for my devices. I don't really need to do it right now because it is working again. The microphone is working again, but I didn't like that it was not reading the device. Also, because another thing I did just recently was I switched hard drives, boot drives. I have a new M2. It's a 2 terabyte boot drive instead of my 500 gigabyte boot drive, and I had to reinstall Windows and then move a bunch of programs over and like copy and paste a bunch of settings to kind of get things back to where they were because everything was fresh about a week ago. No, Tim Pool didn't have a child, but they are expecting one, yes. Is it, you live in Sweden? You said that the king has no power, but it's only ceremonial. He definitely has power in the UK. He can appoint the governor general of any country that he's the king of. So like Canada, if you look up King of Canada or Monarchy of Canada or King of Australia, Monarchy of Australia, you'll see it's King Charles. He's the king of England. He's the king of Canada. He's the king of Australia. He's the king of New Zealand. He has like 7 kingships. He's the king of like Trinidad and Tobago. So what he can do as the king is he appoints this guy called the governor general, which is basically the most powerful guy in the Canadian government. And the governor general who serves, quote, at the pleasure of the king. So the king can just do whatever, get rid of him and make another governor general whenever he wants. This is the power of the king. The governor general has the authority to dismiss parliament and to dismiss the prime minister at will. So they actually staged a coup in Australia in like the 60s where they established a governor general that got rid of their elected prime minister. Let me pull that up. It was very crazy. It should get more attention. It was Go Whitlam. He was the 21st Prime Minister of Australia. So here, I'll pull this up. This is pretty wild. This is what the king can do. This is the Australian coup in the 1960s. So it was in 1975. There were no single coups. So what? Here, let me pull up the specific. I could pull up the Wikipedia and do maybe a more general thing. This is the guy. This was the Prime Minister of Australia at the time, Edward Gough Whitlam. Navigator. Let's see about his coup. Prime Minister. He served for Prime Minister from 1972 to 1975. And then of his dismissal, they called it dismissal. It was a coup. I mean, it was a royal coup, basically, an imperial coup. He was like, I was reading about this guy. He's really, really interesting guy to read about. I mean, the whole dismissal of a prime minister is like fucking. People think it can't happen or that it won't, but like it happened. That's the point of monarchy and having control of your subjects, is you can dismiss them at will. So this is what. The Senate appointing a coalition skates were raised. Let me see if I can just pull up Governor General. Governor. Yeah. Let me place my government's position clear on the record. I should not advise the Governor General hold an election for the House of Representatives. The House. William told the House of Representatives. Including the opposition. Oh my God, this is very wordy. Okay, so what was the AI was saying about him? 1975. Constitutional crisis, they called it. Yeah, the crisis was that constitution wasn't very good. It looks nice on paper, but the king can do whatever the fuck he wants because he's the king. King, dude, what a weird concept that one guy has divine and total authority. Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, Gannon? Australia experienced a significant constitutional crisis after producing the Australian coup, or the dismissal. It involved the removal of Prime Minister Gough Whitlam's Labour government by the Governor General, Sir John Kerr. And the Governor General is appointed at the King's leisure, so the King's pleasure. The King would be like, okay, I don't like that Prime Minister. I'm going to get a guy that'll go in there and fire him for me. So he'll appoint a Governor General that'll do his dirty work, send him over there and be like, get rid of their government. We want a new one that is more adherent to our imperial cause. The British Empire must be paramount. And Australia's like, yo, bro, we're fucking independent. Australia, I think this guy was like an Australia first kind of candidate, like Australia first kind of guy, and King didn't like that. The Emperor at the time, or the Queen, I guess you would say, or whoever the fucking 1975, whoever the British Emperor or Empress was at the time. Whitlam's government implemented several reforms: land rights for Aboriginals, withdrawal from the Vietnam War, that didn't suit the imperial narrative, and increased social welfare spending. However, the government faced opposition from conservative forces, Liberal Party Australian. CIA and MI6 got involved, apparently. Fueled by the crisis was allegedly fueled by the CIA and MI6, who were concerned about his refusal to cooperate. Sound familiar? And this guy was like the Kennedy of Australia, basically. John F. Kennedy of Australia at the time. So, but since he served the king, they didn't have to kill him. They could just dismiss him. The U.S., it says here, Whitlam's refusal to cooperate and his plans to terminate the lease for the U.S. spy base Pine Gap. You've probably heard me talking about Pine Gap. No, I was not fired, McCluskey. I don't actually work for Timcast. I'm a contractor. And I just contract with the company and do the show. And other stuff. Me and Tim work on all sorts of crazy stuff. But it wouldn't technically, if I terminated my contract, or he terminated, if either one of us chose to terminate the contract, it wouldn't be a firing. It would just be, I was an employee at one point, and then we both mutually converted my positioning just to contractor, so I could spend more time away doing my own stuff and refocus. Because it is, for me, that whole politics, and I'm very open about it on the Timcast IRL show and in general in life. Politics isn't really my favorite thing to do and talk about. I like learning about it a lot. Like here we are talking about the Australian coup of 1975, but I'm really into like creative endeavors like games and movies, making movies, acting. I'm an actor and a musician, and that's really where me and Tim bond the most, is with our love for games and music and acting, entertainment, and all that stuff. So it's a real mutually beneficial situation for both of us. It's really awesome. So check this out. Back to the Governor General's dismissal. Uh, Plans to terminate. So he's going to terminate Pine Gap. Pine Gap is I think you consider the largest U.S. military base outside of the United States. It's in the middle of Australia. It's crazy. It's like a spy base. I didn't know that Go was going to get rid of the lease on Pine Gap and be like, nope, it's ours now. It's like, no, the Americans are leasing this. The British want this Pine Gap. It's like in a surveillance base, underground surveillance base in the middle of the Australian outback, and it's like a Pacific, probably there to monitor the Japanese after World War II and to make sure like no more Pacific shenanigans. So Go wanted to take control of Pine Gap, and they were like, oh shit, we got to do something about this guy. CIA got involved. They referred to Kerr. Oh, apparently the CIA referred to Kerr, this conservative opponent of the Go, as a Kerr. Who's Kerr? There's a lot of names that I'm not super familiar with, but I've only studied this thing peripherally. Oh, the Governor General was Kerr, and the CIA referred to this Governor General as our man. So like the CIA, MI6, they work with the king. They appoint the guy they want. You know, they're probably really in control as like the MI6 and CIA. It's kind of like the Praetorian Guard in the Roman Empire, how it kind of took control. And like if the emperor didn't please the Praetorian Guard, they'd have him killed and they'd install a new emperor. I think that's the phase of where the British Empire's at now. It's kind of run by the intelligence agencies. Kind of, you know, the United States is sort of in the same place, but at least we have a republic on Constitution that we can kind of like back up with our words and our guns and stuff. It's a pretty, they really sacrificed a lot in the late 1700s to establish this republic. It's like a really, really big deal because monarchy was the simplest and like most obvious way for so many thousands of years, and it's crazy. Like imperialism's a form of monarchy. Anything having one ruler, monarch, it's just it's a great thing to shatter that mold and to make a government for the people, by the people. It's like wild to govern your own country collectively. It's a really, really cool endeavor. So thank God for those men: George Washington, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Samuel Adams, like all of them, John Adams. I mean, you go down the list of those guys that were willing to sacrifice everything in their reality to establish a better government, a more perfect union. Not necessarily a perfect one, but more perfect than what it had used to be. So this says here that the CIA revealed that a contractor, whistleblower, Christopher Boyce, came out and revealed that the CIA had infiltrated the Australian political and trade union and referred to the Kerr, the Governor General, as our man. They had Kerr in there basically to overthrow the Governor General, to overthrow the Prime Minister. And they did. This guy had a Go removed. Let's see, the dismissal, November 11th. So it says here Kerr's role was a long association with U.S. intelligence bodies, but he's the king's man, the king's Governor General of Australia. I mean, Five Eyes Spy Club, et cetera, and played a crucial role in the crisis. He received top secret telex messages from Theodore Shackley, the CIA's East Asia division head, and was in regular contact with U.S. intelligence and defense operatives. Despite this, he claims to be acting solely in his capacity as Governor General, upholding the Constitution and protecting the monarchy. But he was working with the CIA, apparently. And then on November 11th, 1975, Kerr, the Governor General appointed by the king, dismissed Whitlam's government. Just dismissed the entire government. Citing a constitutional crisis and the need to ensure stability, he then appointed Fraser, the leader of the opposition, as caretaker prime minister. The move was widely condemned by the Labour Party and its supporters, who saw it as a coup. This is the power of the king. He could do the same thing in Canada. He could do the same thing in England. Just because he hasn't. I think people are kind of asleep. Some people are asleep. Not anymore. Not if you're listening to this and you're learning about Go, Whitlam. Come on. What the fuck? Crisis led to a landslide victory for the Liberal Party in the subsequent elections. And Fraser's government remained in power until 1983. It's really wild. I didn't learn about it in high school. I actually learned about it from Amy Dangerfield. Brilliant Australian woman, lives in the United States. She works with Valuetainment. She's one of Valuetainment's head talent. Awesome friend of mine. Super cool. I hang out with her while I'm down in Florida. I see her from time to time. I work with her, actually. We plan on doing some videos together, too. I should interview her and talk to her more about it because she knows so much about Australian politics, and it's great to learn about it from someone that is from within the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth of the British family, of the royal. They call it the royal family. Yo, it's the one that has control of the monarchy right now. If not, like I said, if Hitler had won World War II, he'd be his family would be the king of England right now or whatever. They might have just annexed England and turned it into Germany. They might have did like what they were doing with Poland and stuff. They're like, this is part of the German, but it was like what they were doing with France was they were kind of establishing like a leader of France that was going to serve the Emperor Hitler. They called him the whatever. They used whatever terms, but definitely not Rodney Dangerfield. No, Amy Dangerfield. Highly recommend checking out Amy Dangerfield's stuff. Here's her YouTube channel. Let me pull that up. She's cool. She's been really making waves. She works with Tom Ellsworth at. You've probably seen her around. Very, very possibly seen her around in her work. This is Amy's YouTube channel. Subscribe to Amy Dangerfield. She does her own stuff, and she works with Valuetainment with Tom Ellsworth, the BizDoc. Her stuff with BizDoc's really, really impressive. Let me see here. They talk a lot about polls, political polls and stuff. I'm not as interested in the polling stuff. She's really cool with like just morality and all that too. Wonderful human being. Amy Dangerfield, Tom Ellsworth. Tom's great. Good father. Yeah, this is their show on Valuetainment that they do where they talk a lot about polling. Let me pull this up, actually. I guess it's directly on the Valuetainment channel. What the heck? Who got the press it on you? Oh, I got that Gorillaz song stuck in my head. Did you get no how? A dare. This is their Tom Ellsworth and Amy Dangerfield's The Decision is the name of the show. It's on the Valuetainment channel. Cool stuff. She's great. She's done a lot of good work, contributed a lot of good stuff to society, and helped me learn about the Australian coup of 1975. How crazy is that? So when people want to, and ever, I guess in the meantime, I should just be very specific about Go Whitlam's dismissal by the Governor General in Australia in 1975. Like, if you want to talk about imperial authority and the power of the king, there it is, man. I wonder who the king was at that time anyway. Who was the British Emperor 1975? I love that people are like, Emperor, you're hurting my feelings when you say that word. No, he's the king. He's the king. Please don't do this to my mind. Cognitive dissonance. And like, dude, he's an emperor. Just relax. It's okay. The truth will set you free, man. It lets you see reality in a way that'll let you reform the normalcy. If you don't know the truth and you're hurt, I mean, of course it hurts. It's like stretching. You got to fix your body. It doesn't feel like superior every time. What's up, dude? Derp Nasty with the Prime subscription. Thank you very much, Derp Nasty. Who is the British monarch? We'll call him the British monarch. It's a little bit more general. The British Empire, this is what it says, ceased to exist as normal, as a formal entity in 1947. That's when they're like, okay, no more of this emperor stuff. It's too weird. It sounds too weird. We're reforming the world with the new world. It was a new world order at the time. They're like, we're starting this liberal economic order. We don't need a British Empire anymore. We're going to have the U.S., Britain, Australia, Canada. We have the five. We're going to set up a Five Eyes spy club. We'll set up our CIA, our MI6. We'll have like a new global empire that we'll call a liberal economic order. So we're going to stop calling it the British Empire. They started in that right after World War II. They're like, we need better PR. We need to do this better. And King George VI was the emperor of India. King George VI was the last technical emperor. They've kind of just changed the terms. Now they just give him like 7 kingships, and they're like, he's just a king. He's just a king. Well, yeah, you're a king of 7 countries, dude. That's what they call that. They used to just be like, look, in order to administrate, because what would happen in the past, if a king had 7 countries and seven young boy children, when he died, each one of those countries went to another kid. And then there were 7 new kings, and they all had a right to all the other countries, and they'd go to war. It was very rare that it would be that many kingdoms. So he's like, in order to establish all this.
My question is why you think the people are more qualified to rule themselves. Do you think monarchies were
No, I think
established
monarchies were established by force, and it wasn't the most qualified, it was the strongest or the richest. And they would just seize territory and force people at gunpoint or knife point to serve them or die. I don't like that lifestyle. That's why I feel like people ruling with law, order, and intelligence is much more civil. So kingdoms would get split up. Like if a guy had the kingdom of France and the kingdom of England, a guy was a king and he had the king, and then he had two sons. When he died, one went to the one son and then one to the other, and then they would fight. And that's why you have all these cousins that are like the kings of Norway and the king of Sweden and the king of England. Like they're all kind of related still because they come from like one mega king that had a bunch of territory that would go to his different kids. It was called Gavelkind succession law. Eventually they established what's called primogeniture, where it would go to your oldest son. But it would still cause secession issues if they didn't have some sort of overarching order to kind of control the kingdoms. So they just started to control so much territory. They were like, look, it's more of a, we'll call it something different now. It's just one emperor controls all the kingdoms. And maybe when the emperor dies, what would happen is the empire itself would go to the oldest son. He would take control. He'd be the new emperor. But his brothers would each get a kingdom. But they'd all serve the emperor. If there was no emperor, they'd still all get their kingdoms, but they would have no overlord. And then they'd be the ultimate primo leader, and then they would feel like they had a right to the other kingdoms, and they would go to war. So having this oldest son take over as the emperor kept kind of his brothers in line, his sons, and then they'd inbreed and they'd marry off their kids to each other and like have weird ass fucking God knows what bloodlines. But that's how they why they establish empire in general, is to control kingdoms. And that's what they're doing with England. They just don't call it empire exactly. You know, that's why he's got the Kingdom of Canada, Kingdom of New Zealand. Like I said, here, I'll pull up King Charles. Oh, how many countries is King Charles the king of? I'm going to monetize this stream, by the way. I don't think it was monetized there before. King Charles, sovereign nations. Oh, he's a kingdom of like 14 countries. So here we go. King Charles, sovereign nations. Based on the provided research results, King Charles III is the monarch and head of state for 15 Commonwealth realms. So he's the king of 15 countries. He's the king of Canada, Jamaica, Bahamas, Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, Belize, Grenada, New Zealand. He's the king of Papua New Guinea, the king of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Tuvalu, St. Lucia, Solomon Islands, and the United Kingdom, which is England. I don't know. I guess it's technically called the United Kingdom, or it's Great Britain. So they've established like a full... How is force gathered? Either through bloodline.
Okay, but how is force gathered?
Force can be gathered in a multitude of ways. It can be gathered through honest economic prowess. It can be gathered through deception. It can be gathered through heredity. You can just be given it from your father because he had conquered the land before you, like Alexander the Great. Force can be gathered in a lot of ways. It's not a real good way to establish leadership, like who's the strongest, because a lot of strong people can be super dumb and create like barbarian rulership. So you got to be really, really careful about allowing the and that's kind of why we invented guns in a lot of ways. Is like, look, the biggest monkey that just beats up all the other monkeys and takes all the women and has like 80 kids, and all the other monkeys are like, how can I serve you, big monkey? That didn't work. And you can see it in monkey tribes. The other monkeys will gang up on the guy and kill him. And then the next strongest monkey will take over, and the fucking cycle will repeat. And we figured out a way to stop that from happening with this republic. It's really established a peaceful order. We have 50 states that are unified, that are working together. 50 different ways of governing have come together to form this cool-ass system. It ain't perfect, man. Not remotely, but it is way better than having one dude control all the land. So here's the King Charles. Anyway, and you can look him up yourself. Like if you go to like Monarchy of Belize, you want to just search it yourself. Monarchy of Belize. You'll see it's King Charles here. Head of state is King Charles. The monarchy of Belize. You know, and you'd think if it was cool and everyone was like, yo, it's totally fine and normal, that everyone would be very forward about it. So when things get hidden like this, I start to get a little antsy about it. I'm like, what is...
So the founding fathers were incorrect when they didn't want everyone
I'm not
voting?
sure where you derived that statement from, Blaga. So the founding fathers were incorrect when they didn't want everyone voting. No, I don't think that's... If you're asking me if I think that that's true, I don't think that that's true, no. I mean, I don't think it was like a correct or incorrect. There was no perfect choice. There wasn't like a right and a wrong answer there. They were just like, we got to weigh our options. If we let every random vagrant that walks into town vote on the town's rules and then next day they're gone, like that's a big problem. We don't know where you're from or who your father was. So they were like, we need some order. We need like the landowner, the people that live there to kind of vote. I think that made a lot of sense at the time. Now we have social security numbers. We can kind of track your movement. So it's a little easier to let you vote. But when you have, like, you know, of course, random people coming into the country that are just walking around the streets that don't live there even, like, you don't want them going and voting on your city's laws. That's very, very weird. This stuff just cracked me up when I started reading about all the kingships that Charles had. I was like, what is happening in this world, man? Let's talk about it. Let's make some noise about it. I came back from a trip down to Canada, or not to Canada, to Miami, Florida. I love Canada, by the way. I freaking love Canada. And it's not a dig on like the countries or the people by any means. It's the style of government that I have issues with. I love British people. I'm fascinated with English culture and like Scottish culture. My God, I'm Scottish heritage and like Irish and Canadian. I love Canada. We used to spend time in Canada as a kid on the lake. But I came back from Florida like fired up about this stuff.
They limited voting to landowners just like Rhodesia because dumb PPF vote dumb. It sounds like you are promoting
I don't know. Let's
Candyman
look up
paradox.
the Candyman paradox. It's not that dumb people vote dumb. It's that ignorant people. Well, there's stupidity, which is like my mind can't wrap around this concept. I don't have the attention span for it. That's got like stupidity. And then there's ignorance, which is I don't know the information. I have never been taught the information. You might have a brilliant person that is ignorant because they have never had access to learn the data. And you might have a very well-educated idiot that has learned all the data but does not understand how it all interoperates. They just know it. So dumb is kind of a vague term. I think they wanted to keep ignorant people from voting. They wanted to make sure that people that knew what was going on in their territory were the ones that were making the decisions for the territory. And the best way to do that was to guarantee it was the people that lived there. That was how it began in limiting it to landowners. It's not limited to landowners anymore. But that's in the beginning before telephones and digital transmission and data and stuff. That's how they did it. So they limited like Rhodesia because dumb people, it sounds like you're the Candyman paradox. Let's see. Let's learn about this together. The candy color, the ice candy man. So there's two different ones. There's the candy color paradox. Is that what you meant? The candy color paradox? Oh, no, that's a TV show. The ice candy man paradox. Literary work. Ice candy man. Maybe this is it. Yeah. This is about the partition of India. The ice candy man paradox presents the Parsi community's perspective on the events leading up to and during the partition of India. And all about the partition of India. In 1947, this is when they ended the empire, technically ended the empire, and they were like, what are we going to do with India? Because we no longer have the emperor of India. We no longer have, so... You were saying it sounds like promoting what they did here in the partition of India was a good thing. That's what you think I'm doing? Let's find out. The change of political borders and the division of other assets accompanied the dissolution of the British Raj. So they got rid of the British crown, basically. The king of India. They called him a Raj, the Raj of India, but it was the British king of India. So it got rid of that. and the creation of two independent dominions in South Asia, India and Pakistan. So this is when they turned the kingdom of the Raj of Britain, of British India, into Pakistan and India. The Republic of India and the Dominion of Pakistan is what it is currently. At the time, comprised two regions lying on either side. Now the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the People's Republic of Bangladesh. I kind of want to get some coffee. The partition was outlined in the Indian Independence Act. All right. Is this what Gandhi kicked into action right after World War II? Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. He died shortly. He died in 1948, a year after the partition. So it sounds like Gandhi's civil disobedience movement led up to the partition of India and the dissolution of the British rule. They established Indian Independence Act in 1947. So you saying I'm promoting the Candyman paradox? What is the Candyman paradox exactly? The Ice Candyman. No, I think you're talking about. You can always elaborate on how you think that I'm promoting it, because I'm not sure. I don't think I am. If what they did was by establishing independence, they gave votership to the landowners of the time, that might have just been a rudimentary way to establish a new government, because they didn't have like social security numbers or whatever, and they had to like form some sort of ordered nation that wasn't the kingdom of the British Raj of India anymore. I'm just poking at it though. I'm not 100% sure what your metaphor here is. The change of political borders. Yeah, it was not a peaceful partition, that's for sure. Migration, people were leaving, some people going west, some people going east. Muslims were awarded to Pakistan, the majority non-Muslims to India. Wow. So they kind of split it up amongst culture, religion, Muslim and non-Muslim. A lot of the Buddhists and Hindus in the east, and the Muslims in the west. Pakistan. Yep, there's Gandhi. Rhodesia, you're saying Rhodesia, landowners could vote. I don't know a lot about Rhodesia's governance. Southern Rhodesia. I don't know. It's a lot of. You made one sentence, and there's a lot to unpack in that one sentence. But no, I'm not insinuating. I don't really know the idiosyncrasies and specifics about a lot of these other countries and what they did and what they have been doing and why they did that. But that's not what I'm insinuating about the founding fathers giving landowners the duty, the responsibility, the right to vote to start it off. But it was better than having no vote. I got to get some coffee. I'm about to get some coffee. Did I mention that I'm going to pour myself a little bit of coffee? It's going to take me a few minutes. So what I want to do is pull this up so you can read about it while I'm stepping away, if you'd like. If you want to read a little bit about the Partition of India just to get familiar with it. And if anyone comes in and is like, where's Ian? What's Ian doing? Just let him know I'm getting some coffee. Hey, Irrevistan. Irreverentation. I like that. Irreverentation. Thank you for the Prime subscription, man. Hey, Blaga, thank you for the follow-up super chat.
No, it's essentially saying dumb PPF will be bribed to vote for short game rather than a good long-term rule. The Greek
direct democracy is a big problem. It's going to use that term dumb. I'm not sure if you mean stupid or ignorant. Dumb means that you can't speak. Dumb means that you're mute. Literally, it means that someone is unable to speak. That's what that term means. So it's probably not the word you meant to use. So whatever. I'm not sure if you mean people that don't have the information or if you just mean like very, very stupid people. that can't learn very quickly because they're malnourished, and their ancestors have been malnourished or something like that. Or if it's a combo, I mean, I think you're just generally saying kind of like a broad, but be more. If you could be more specific, that'll help me kind of explain what I'm thinking about what you're saying. And that is a problem. I think that's a very clear problem, having people that are unaware of what's happening vote on the decisions about what should happen. That is probably an age-old issue with democracy, of just giving everyone a say. So you're like, geez, a lot of these people are just out there farming. They have no idea what's going on at the Capitol and what decisions we're making about where the money is going to get divvied up, where the buildings are going to get built, how we're going to build the roads. They don't know. They don't even care. We try and teach them about it, and they don't even care. They just want to go do their thing. So it's like, do they not care, or are they just stupid? Are they incapable mentally of conceiving the concept of like having the thought experiment and like visualizing the strategies? Are they incapable, or are they just uninterested, and does it even matter? But for whatever reason, there were lots of people that were just doing their thing, and they were like, I don't know, and I don't want to know, and I refuse to know. So giving those people a say in how it's going to be done is like, well, that almost is completely going to get our civilization annihilated, because they're going to make random decisions. We need to make specific decisions based on what we know and people that understand the situation, if we want to survive as a species. If we want to make sure that they're able to keep farming in safety, we need to make decisions that will ensure that. Because if we let them just randomize the procedure, they're going to screw themselves unwittingly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, you got to respect people's civil rights and ability to learn, and you don't want to keep people out of the process just because they came from ignorance or stupidity, because a lot of people will come from nothing and become one of the greatest. Literally, people will come from humble beginnings with no education, poor nutrition, and they'll work their way up, and through force of will and rite of passage, they'll become one of the great humans of civilization. So you want to make a society where that's possible. Doesn't matter how much money they have. It just matters if they're willing to learn. We talk about this on Timcast IRL sometimes, about how you would kind of figure out who those people are, because who's going to make, if it can't be like an intelligence test, like who's going to make the test? Is it going to be like, do you know what I know? And if you don't, then you're not good enough. Like, who's to say that what I know is what's really valuable? So what right would I have to make? I'm not the king. I don't get to make the test for you to decide if you get it. Like, get what? So that's always been kind of off the table, an intelligence test. I mean, Tim actually had an idea. Tim Pool. When I say Tim, I'm generally talking about Tim Pool because we spent a lot of time together. That if someone's going to vote, they need to know it's a blank page and you have to write the name down, and it needs to be spelled right. I mean, that's generally an interesting concept. So you at least have some information about who you're voting. You don't just go in and look at a piece of paper and you're like, that, and then walk out. And you're like, what did you just vote for? I don't know, that. Like, that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want that style of governance. We want an educated populace, like making educated, intelligent, forethought decisions. So writing the name down is kind of interesting, because at least you know, you've done some research that you know who the name of the person you're going to be voting for, bare minimum. And then he was saying you got to spell it right. And I'm like, I'm starting to worry, because I don't think that's where it's like you're holding ignorant people away. Just because someone doesn't know how to spell doesn't necessarily mean they're not educated. I mean, it means they're not quite educated in grammar and spelling, but that doesn't mean that they don't have wondrous political opinions and understandings. You don't need to be great at math or be a great speller where you put your semicolons all in the right positions and make sure you have the comma after the right word for the punctuation and the period at the end. You know, I use a lot of semicolons. I love grammar. I love good grammar. I feel like it makes reading very easy, comprehension very easy. I'm a playwright. I'm a actor. I've studied a lot of Shakespeare, musician. Being able to pick up a script and know exactly the cadence of the sentence helps a lot when you're trying to transmit the data. I know when to pause. I know what words are emphasized because of the punctuation of the colons and the semicolon. I love a good semicolon. Yeah, like a good semicolon would be like, It'd be like, I don't know, a good sentence with a semicolon would be like, making shit up with grammars, like, write me a good song right now. I'm like, I mean, I know a good song. As I'm writing it, I'll put the semicolon where it goes in the song, but like, you know, it's like if you have two subjects in a sentence. So you're like saying, the dog is good. I agree. That would be a sentence. You have two subjects, dog and I. And so instead of making two different sentences, which you'd be like, well, what are you agreeing about? Because I agree as a solo sentence doesn't have a predicate. I agree to what? I'm guaranteeing you know that I'm saying I agree that the dog is good with that sentence. The dog is good, I agree. But there are two subjects in the sentence, so you need a semicolon. And I don't want to keep people that don't understand that stuff out of the voting booth. And I don't want someone that says John Hancock or John Kennedy with no H, because they don't know that he has an H in his name, John. I don't want to keep those people's votes out of the voting booth. But you know, the idea of knowing who you're voting for ahead of time is kind of an interesting stopgap to keep the superiorly ignorant away from the voting booth. Ah, man. My whole life I was like, everyone should vote. Everyone is great. Everyone is capable. Everyone should be doing it. And that's like so communistic. We're all in this. It's like, bro, no, people are vastly different. And not all people give a shit about governance. Not all people care to learn, and I really am gonna go get some coffee now. I'm very jazzed from this conversation, Blogger. You're definitely inspirational question asker. I like you. Thank you for those super chats. It's making me think and making me learn and relearn. I'm gonna take it. If you want to read a little bit about the Partition of India, here it's on the page. I shall return within 2 minutes, perhaps. 3 minutes, maybe? Maybe 4. The coffee's brewing. I got to read your chats. Oh, I do have the stream is playing Mass Effect Legendary. Let me change that real quick. I'm planning on playing Mass Effect Legendary. Let's do just chatting for now, because that's what we're doing, what I'm doing, and you're listening. I do find it a little disingenuous when people say, We talked on Twitter. I talked to him about it the other day, but what they meant is they texted because it's like, yo, bro, you just stuck a note on their digital door and then they stuck a note on yours, but you did it really rapidly. There was no talking. It is a form of communication. It's just not talking. Like, dude, I listened to what he had to say. He told me, and it's, oh, tell now. You can use the word tell for texting because you're kind of like, tell means kind of like you're relaying information. He told me. You're like, well, did he say it? And you're like, yeah, no, he texted it. Yeah, because when you say something, but then a saying could be in writing, so you're like, say is kind of vague, but you didn't talk to him if it's in text. There was no talking. We didn't talk. We didn't have a talk. A chat. Did we chat if it was in text? They call it chat. I don't know. Chat kind of infers that you're chatty. You know, what is the definition of chat? Let's find out together because of the wonder and the beauty of the internet. God, this is so much better than picking up a book and holding it up and being like, look. I've been telling stupid stories all morning, Eric Schaefer. Good Lord, that's what I do it for a living. No, I'm just kidding. I tell fantastic stories, the best stories. I just want a definition of the word chat. Give it to me. It doesn't think I'm that stupid that I'm looking for a definition. It's like he can't actually mean that he's looking for a definition. To talk. In an informal, yeah, chatting infers talking. Doesn't have to. Yeah, to take part in a chat room in an online discussion. So they've really blurred the line. Humanity itself unwittingly has blurred the lines between verbal communication and textual in a lot of ways by these words, chat, things like that. Because it used to be about light or informal talking. It was just like we're chatting. It's nothing heavy. We're just kind of talking about loose and light things. Be right back. Coffee's ready. Now I'm gonna insert some peanut butter powder in this shit. Two scoops for both the deliciousness and the protein. It creams it out. It makes it way less acidic. The peanuts kind of absorb the acidity of the coffee. I've been drinking coffee. I ground up some beans from some coffee I had for like 2 years in a bag. Coffee beans. And I don't think they were sealed. The beans themselves were very dry. And when I ground them up, the coffee was just watery. It was ground very fine too, but it was very watery. I just bought some new coffee, just a bag of like organic fair trade coffee. And the coffee is so rich and flavorful and dark. I've been missing really, really strong, good coffee. So I knew I had a feeling that was the problem. I was like, maybe I'm not grinding up these beans fine enough. It's just that they were old and dry, a couple years old and had dried out. You lose a lot of the richness of the coffee that way. So I just got it. It's already pre-ground, but I thought maybe it was what I've got is a Keurig machine in my other room and little reusable Keurig cup that I'll dump out, wash out, rinse out, and then put more coffee grounds in. And I thought maybe it's the Keurig, like the reusable cup, isn't good enough to make like a rich cup of coffee, but it was actually just the beans themselves. All right, I didn't really get much feedback about the grammar stuff. I hope that kind of put a pin in the whole encouraging the a better governance, a better style of governance. I mean, where can you really go from like how do you guarantee or how do you ensure or how do you encourage like the most educated, not necessarily the most educated, but just that the severely uneducated, disinterested among us aren't the ones voting. And if you want to do that, I kind of am veering more towards it. There's just no perfect path, but the idea of like an ignorant farmer making the decisions of where the roads are going to go, and he's like, I don't even know where there is, but that one. And you're like, sorry, buddy, not you. All right, let's bring in that's why we established senators in the United States, and like they were supposed to be like the educated among us that really knew and cared and wanted to learn about all the strategies and positions and all that crap. Anyway, I what do they say? I diverge, I digest. There's a term for that when they're like, no, I've said too much. I'm moving on. Puts the lotion in the basket. What does? The dog that I like? Okay, we're going with Mass Effect, you guys. I don't know if you have played Mass Effect. Mass Effect is an epic. Truly an epic. Both an epic game. It's epic in quality, epic in scope and scale. It's a gigantic game. It's got lots of skills. It's and it's really well done. So epic in three different ways. Oh, I like that word, noblesse oblige. Let me see that.
I think you aren't considering Noblesse Oblige.
Noblesse oblige. I've been playing Horizon's Gate, and that's one of the skills in Horizon's Gate, noblesse oblige. And I'm like, that must be like a term that I've never really looked up or paid attention to. And now you brought it up, dude. It's like I hadn't heard that term my entire life. Then I started playing this game 2.5 weeks ago, and this is one of like the epic skills you can get in the game. And now you brought it up. It's wonderful how the world is like vibrating into this pattern right now. Things are really coming together. So noblesse oblige is benevolent, honorable behavior considered to be the responsibility of persons of high birth or rank. Yeah, on paper that's a wonderful thing, but good Lord, how many times have people of high rank had crappy kids throughout time? Where it's like the kid's an alcoholic or something, or just inbred or doesn't give a shit. Probably less than more. It's probably more likely that the well-fed, educated children turn out to be more intelligent and caring than the poor, malnourished children. It's probably the case that it is more likely that a well-nourished child that has his needs met, clothing, shelter, love, that child will be a better human, like more servile, more benevolent, honorable. It's more likely, but that doesn't mean that it is the case every time, unfortunately. But generally, I think, yeah, you want to make kids that turn out to be benevolent and honorable. But you don't have to have high birth or rank to do that in the United States. You just have to have enough money to get your needs met and be a good parent, and your child will become that. In back in the day, it was harder because you were always serving somebody. Even the wealthiest among you served the Lord, and that's not God. That was the king. They called him. But they kind of tweaked people by calling the king like they had a god king. A lot of nations would be like, it is divine right that I rule with. I am the God's avatar on earth, the pharaohs, and then like, I am the Lord. Worship your Lord in heaven and your Lord on earth. And you're like, God, that word Lord, I will lord, it's a verb. I will lord over you. Like, good Lord. Yeah, no, you don't have to be a high birth. Well, the thing kind of in the United States is everyone in the United States is of high birth. Like, you're born here, you are the highest of birth in that you are sovereign. You immediately gain these rights. Just your rights are immediately acknowledged upon birth in the United. I digress. Thank you guys, Andy, Alicious. That was what I was trying to say when I was like, I digest. I digress is what I was saying earlier. Yeah, you're immediately born with the acknowledgments of your rights of high birth in the United States. It's a wonderful place to be born. I see why a lot of people come here and want to have kids here. Yeah, I was going to say that you're given rights upon. No. Your rights are innate. They are acknowledged upon birth. What's up, Andreas Exertus? Brilliant man in the chat, by the way. Andreas Exertus is the guy that introduced me to graphene, ladies and gentlemen. You definitely want to follow Exertus, Xirtus, everywhere you can. If you care about mud floods, ancient history, Tartaria, genius, interesting science. If you want to learn about psychedelics, psychoactives, everything cool, Exertus is your man. We're actually going to go on and stream together. Sometimes I wonder why we don't do it almost every day, because we were like best friends for, I don't know, 2 years. I mean, we're seriously good friends every time we hang out, but we were like living together, spending every day together, working together for pretty tight for a couple years. And yeah, I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but Pretty much like, yo, I know we're going to be okay when Andreas Nicholas is by my side. Like, if he's here to help, we're good, because he knows. And if he doesn't know, he can figure it out. And he can figure it out real quick, and he's got a good memory. I'm creaming all over you, Dre. What's up, homie? I love Andreas Nicholas. So follow Andreas Exertus, and you will not be disappointed. You will become a better human for learning, man. You will be gloriated. You will be glorious. That's a simple way of putting it. Have I seen Armored Skeptic's last video? No. Where he claims and elaborates on why he thinks the God of Old Testament and the New Testament are different gods. No, I have not. But I think that that might be true. And only because, in a lot of ways, I think that the stories of God may actually have been about a human that told everyone he was God. And the story was written that this God was angry, but then this God was benevolent. And like some of the stories are probably about the spiritual God, the concept, the conceptual speaker in your mind, this creator, this creative force, whatever it is. That's probably part of the narratives too. But some of them were about like a human who's like, who would roll in town and be like, I am God King. I am God. Serve me now. And then a new guy would roll in with an army and kill him and take over and be like, I am God now. Serve me. But the books would just use the same word to establish this is eminent ruler authority, but it would have a different personality. And you're like, what's up with this like schizophrenic style of God? Like, no, it's just different. That's my thought on it. It'd be interesting to hear Armored Skeptic's take, and I wonder if it synergizes. Oh, react to the video right now? I have never really done video reacts before, but that's kind of an interesting concept. I've monetized the stream, but I was just telling my friend Stephanie last night, Stephanie Marie, who you should follow, Steph We Are Change. It's Steph WRC on X. She's really pumping her X account right now. Here she is. It's I'll pull up her stuff. You guys should all subscribe to Steph. She's like one of my best friends, if not my best friend in the world right now. She turned me on to the cleanse that I've been doing, the Zen cleanse. She and I did the cleanse together. She's a very healthy and healing human being. And this is her X account. And I was just telling her last night that, yeah, she's pumping her X account right now. So follow her on X. She just monetized the account. And she's very intelligent. That I don't really need to monetize my streams or worry too much about monetizing streams because of subscriptions and super chats. Like memberships. People will become a member on YouTube, $5 a month. Or they become a subscriber on Twitch, same thing, $5 a month. And they super chat. So I'm like, okay, I can play covers on my streams. I can play music. I can like Bush or Pearl Jam. I can react to other people's videos. And if the video gets demonetized, it doesn't really matter because that's like, I did the analytics last month and I think it was like 1/20th of the income that I made on streaming was from ad revenue. Maybe 1/10. Maybe I was probably less. It was probably like 1/100th. Maybe it was a very small percentage, like relatively small. 1/10 to 100th of the money that came in was through ad revenue. It was mostly through super chats and memberships. So your memberships are huge, and because of those, I will do a video react to Armored Skeptic's last video. Let's watch. His last video, Armored Skeptic. I'm not sure that I'm too familiar with his work. And feel free to put, I don't know if you can actually put a link in the chat. Destroyed the Tyler Durden was, I don't see, if you're seeing his last video, it was 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago. Is this what you're talking about? Have you seen Armored Skeptic's last video where he claims and elaborates on why he thinks the God of the Old Testament was God the devil? This one here was Yahweh, YHWH is really the devil. Hopefully there's not a delay.
The world is a terrible place. This world is chaotic and terrifying, devoid of empathy.
It's a 40-minute video, so I'm not going to be able to watch the whole thing. I mean, I'm able to. I'm not going to. I don't want to. So, is there anything in particular that you think I should skip to here to listen for, or just let it play?
Something wrong here. Something
Okay, this
is
is
not right. The world seems to have been a terrible place, where evil always seems to prevail. Even when we collectively know the villains in our ranks, we're constantly gaslit into believing that the satans and conquerors of our world are actually our heroes. The systems of man appear to be designed to protect the most evil among us and exploit the weakest. But that's not a new thing. The world has always operated that way. Our
I have
entire
actually
reality...
I'm going to stop and start it a little bit to ensure that what I'm doing is commentary, because that is what I'm going to do on this. Oh, and here I'll follow up with a super chat actually. Let the computer read it.
You can't run society based on exceptions. The way you talk about nutrition makes it seem like Euro never had famines.
Well, it's not. I'm not talking about. Wait, no. Europe had famines. Europe had famines for sure. Famines are a well-known part of European culture. Unfortunately, the Holodomor was like a sort of a man-made famine, for instance. But that was Eurasian. You can't run society based on exceptions. I sort of agree with you. That's why we had laws. Laws are there to avoid being like, well, this time, yeah, you can do it, but next time, nah. And yeah, we'll let your son do it though, but don't tell anyone. It's better if you don't tell anyone. But if you do tell everyone, don't worry, we'll just give you a badge and then everyone will have to deal with it. You're royalty now. You don't have to think about it anymore. Like, no. I don't like that stuff. You don't want exceptions. But I'm not talking about a generation of people that get nailed by a famine. I'm talking more about family lineage of decades and millennia, hundreds and hundreds, centuries of malnutrition that lead to genetic disorder or just like a lack of development, which is unfortunately pretty pronounced in reality. Like if you feed the human the brain matter, the omega-3 fats, like you get a much, much healthier human, and then they produce much, much healthier children. And especially the child getting enough nutrition in the early years, the early days, the early months, hugely impacts their ability to learn and grow. And I don't actually have, be honest, data on this. And I'd love to pull some up. If you guys want to go down that path right now, I'd be happy to start looking into and reading about all this stuff. It's just a very pronounced aspect of nature that lack of nutrition leads to lack of ability to grow. And that means your brain and your heart and your stomach and everything. I mean, I had a cat that grew up in the gutter and had kidney problems. You have kidney problems, it's harder to focus on reading and writing, dealing with your kidneys. So it's more about familial health is what I'm talking about. But I still don't think that the healthiest among us should be the ones that get to choose how society runs. I'm not saying that. But when you have people that are just incapable because of whatever reason, including potentially health negation, like a lack of nutrition, the people that are incapable, I'm questioning whether or not those people should be involved in the political decisions of the day for all the people that are capable. And like, should we calculate their ignorant choices as heavily as we calculate the educated ones? It's an excellent debate. I mean, common sense would say, fuck no. No. If the people aren't paying attention, they don't get to choose for your destiny. They got to pay some attention and know what they're doing if you want them to get involved in the decision making of what's going to happen to you. That's basic survival. If there's a guy if you're all in the woods together and one guy just sits in the cave all day and doesn't go outside, and then you're all going to decide, but a bunch of other people are out there scouting and looking at all the territory, and now you're all going to come back to camp and make a decision about which direction are we going to go. The guy in the cave doesn't get to fucking decide. That's survival. You leave it up to the scouts. All right, let's continue watching. He's talking about how evil tends to dominate society. I've actually been thinking about this a lot. And it does, because a lot of times they'll tell you good triumphs over evil, and I'm like, does it always? Or is it that the evil wins through violent force and deception and then tells everyone they were the good guys? So let's continue what he's saying here. I like this guy.
It's like is corrupt. It's like this place is not real. Everybody knows that the Bible contradicts itself dozens of times. That's one of the main reasons why most of us don't believe that it's the infallible Word of God. Trust me, it's not. But I realized something when I was going through the New Testament. Jesus clearly represents a more loving and forgiving God than Yahweh presented himself originally in the Torah. Yahweh was terrible and terrifying, quick to punish his followers for the slightest misstep. But Jesus was loving and forgiving. He was healing and compassionate. Jesus absolutely does contradict Yahweh several times in the Gospels. But what if I were to tell you that Jesus directly contradicted Yahweh on purpose? In fact, Jesus directly referenced specific things that Yahweh said and did, and described those actions as if they were the actions of the evil
I'll
one.
say here, I don't think Jesus was God. I think he was a guy that was anointed by God in a lot of ways and really had the divine spirit communicating very clearly with his brain. Like his subconscious was very clearly communicating words to him, and he understood that as God. So he was like a channeler, a divine channeler, which I've experienced personally. I know that that can be possible. People throughout time have gained access to the knowledge, or the wisdom of nature, whatever you want to call it. So I think that it's a guy. Jesus was a guy that was commenting on the stories of the past. Just this is my take on where he's led us up to so far.
The devil. What if Yahweh isn't who he says he is? The qualities and characteristics of the oldest God in human history is still present in almost every religion that's still around today. The King of Heaven, the Sky God, Dio.
That's interesting because I don't know if you've heard of the Vimana. The Vimana is an ancient flying machine. They talk about these sky gods. Now, I understand the sun is probably where a lot of sky god energy is coming from. Like, you want to talk about meditating and closing your eyes and seeing white light, like that's probably coming from the sun. Locally, it's like coming from the galactic core, and it's bouncing, it's like arcing through our sun and then into our brains. But so that could be the essence of spiritual sky god, but you've also got this freaking thing, the Vimana, which is an ancient flying machine. So some guy flies through the sky before anyone understands what a flying machine is on some hot air balloon, some like tower with, or some like building with on a platform with a bunch of hot air balloons. And they're like, I am the sky god. See, I come from the sky. Therefore, I am the sky god of old. Worship me now. I am God. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with this.
Different examples of this god throughout history, like Zeus, Jupiter, Gilgamesh.
Zeus, I definitely don't think was a god. He was a dude that had access to electricity and told everyone he was a god that didn't know. He came from before the flood, before the Atlantean flood. He had a lot of ancient wisdom and knowledge passed down through his family lineage, perhaps, and he showed lightning sparks. Like, if I walked up to a guy 6000 BC and I was like, they'd be like, what the fuck are you? I'd be like, I'm God. I have access to lightning. And they'd be like, holy shit. But in reality, he probably had like a battery of some sort, like a Baghdad battery, clay pot with some electrolyte in it with an iron and copper conductor, and was giving people an electric spark and saying, I control lightning. Worship me.
That created everything and protects the earth. The hero that defeats the dragon. And this god of the sky is present even in monotheism. The funny thing is, even though Yahweh seems to perfectly fit the criteria to take the role of this king of heaven or this god in the sky, his characteristics make him wildly different from most of the other god kings that would take that role. In a previous video, I explained that the word Satan just means the blocker or the adversary. It's just a title. The word Satan was used to describe several different characters throughout the Bible, and for several different reasons. And I also explained that even though Lucifer absolutely was one of the Satans of the Old Testament, Lucifer was not the devil. Lucifer was not the evil one. Lucifer was never a Satan to us, to humanity. Lucifer was a Satan to the evil god that
I love
rules
that
this
concept.
world.
I've actually thought a lot about that, how the victors write the history books. The victors aren't always the good guys, but they sure will tell you that they were. And what if this god of the day that banished... I actually have a wonderful, potential historical philosophy about Lucifer and Michael, the archangel, and all the other archangels of the Bible, and how they cast Lucifer out, or that Lucifer betrayed them and then they left. They called him the light bringer. All right, so how could someone that brings you light be evil? I was like, well, that's weird. Anyway, that these guys were like, that Lucifer, they had, like Zeus, access to these batteries, and they could do this. And make fire with electricity, and do all sorts of stuff with electricity, and make light with electricity. And Lucifer was like, bro, we got to give this electricity thing to the people. We need to help them because they're living in fucking candlelight and they're breathing smoke and they don't have light. A lot of them don't have light. And Michael and the archangels were like, no, it's too powerful and you cannot give this power to the idiots that will destroy the world with it. They try to destroy the world with the last time. We're not going to let this out. This is too powerful tech. It's like giving everyone the nuclear codes. You don't do that. No. And Lucifer's like, information must be free. We have to liberate the humans. And they were like a cult of dudes that would like take psychoactives and meditate and transcend and experience God like in their minds and like have these mass meditations, and Michael would channel the words of God and they'd all be in synchronization together, like a real culture of dudes that were like truly in touch with God, God's spirit, the energy in the field, the subconscious, the collective consciousness. And Lucifer was like, that's it, I'm out of here. And he took the electricity technology and he left and went to all these kings and dukes, and they called them in the Bible like Baal and all these like demons, they call them now. As the story wrote it, they're all the evil ones because they were the losers basically. And when you look at like, what is it? I think it's King David's book on the demons. He's got a book on demons that he wrote or something. David's Secret Demons. You guys know the name of the book? Throw it up there if you know. Or King Solomon. King Solomon demon book. Excuse me. The Lesser Key of Solomon. Look at this shit. This is the Lesser Key of Solomon. This was a, also known in the Latin title, Lemegeton Clavicula Salomonis, or simply the Lemegeton, is a anonymously authored grimoire on sorcery, mysticism, and magic, compiled in the mid-17th century. I don't know if this is just made up by somebody or if this actually comes from data. Ars Goetia, I think, is where a lot of the data, the Ars Goetia. Oh, no, that's the first book of the Lesser Key of Solomon. And I don't know where these names come from, if they come from the Bible, but like, look here, King Baal. Baal's a demon, described in demonological grimoires, such as the Lesser Key of Solomon, Pseudo Monarchy, Daemonium, where's the first spirit mentioned, also in Dictionary Infernal, a hoarsely voiced king. He was a king. The stories tell Baal, this demon lord, as a king. Then you look down the list at all these like demons, what they call demons, and they were kings and dukes and princes. Like these dudes were actual like royalty of the land that didn't have access to the electricity. And Lucifer was like, I'm giving these motherfuckers the power because we need to release the code. We need to give everyone access to electricity. And Michael was like, then it's war. We're not letting this technology out. So he fought a great war. He raised an army, and they went and they burned everything to the ground. They killed all these guys. They scorched earth, the land, and called it hell. And then anyone that questioned them, they'd be like, do you want to go to hell? Because we will ostracize you. We will eject you from the land and send you there to the burning legions. And it was just a bunch of people that were cannibals at that point. They couldn't grow crops. They'd salted the earth and burned the land. So they were just humans eating humans, like the leftovers of this losing territory. And they're like, we will send you the demons of hell. And people are, no, please don't send me to hell. And then if someone got sent to hell, they'd go live and they'd take them there and they'd leave them there. And then they'd get eaten alive by hungry cannibals.
Moon Lord Hut, homie.
What's up, Stank Jesus? Thank you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Love seeing you in the chat, dude. Stank Jesus, bro. What's up? Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting philosophy on like the story of Lucifer and the devil. What then they would term the devil is that the victor writes the history books and they get to demonize whoever they want, and they will tend to demonize the losers of the battle, the great war in heaven, they so called.
The god of this earth, the prince of the power of the air, the thief, the destroyer. There are a lot of different Gnostic and occult outlets that are brave enough to talk about the etymological evolution of different gods throughout history that our ancestors would have worshipped. And I love listening to people talk about the different kinds of relations these gods would have had with each other throughout different cultures and religions in time.
The Minoan religion was centered around the worship of these various deities, with a strong emphasis on the female goddess, the serpent goddess. The primary deity was this mother goddess, who was associated with animals and nature. The master of animals and Skyfather were part of this pantheon. Minerva, the Roman goddess of wisdom and war, is associated with the Proto-Indo-European goddess Jesus, the deity of dawn. And this figure is also related to Athena and Eos. And
a lot of these people, I think, were real humans that were like very well nourished through generations. They had ancient bloodlines tied back to like Atlantean nobility before the flood, or nobility before the flood, and they had access to technology and information, and they were very tall. They were the most beautiful because they would always get the most beautiful mates because they were the strongest and the tallest and the wealthiest, and so they would give birth to these phenomenal humans, spectacles of humanity at the time, especially tall. And the other humans were like, like wretched in their state because of they basically ate seeds and sifted through feces for like the third round of like sesame seeds so they could get a bit of nutrition, and they would eat leaves and had parasites and shit. And they would see these humans would come in and be like, we are gods. They would tell them to maintain control, we are gods, some of them. Or some of them were so benevolent and good that the humans would just call them gods. You must be God. And they would be like, yes, okay.
Your random and off-the-wall topics make the show.
Random and off-the-wall topics make the show, dude. It definitely makes the show something, doesn't it? Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat, bro. I think, though, a lot of times these people were actual humans that then became deified either through the stories, and they're like, we refuse to accept that you say you're not a god. You're a god, and there's no go. You're not going to convince us otherwise. That may be the case. Oftentimes, I think that they would just be like, fine, I'm a god. Because when you're really tripping, it's funny that what a segue. But if you're really in the God state, you don't even have to have psychedelics for this. But when you're really in that oneness state, and psychedelics can take you there, you'd be like, I am God. God is me. God is flowing through everything. It is everything. It is at the center of every proton that makes up every piece of matter as we understand it. There is God. Therefore, I am it. It is me. It is all. But as soon as you say, I am it, I am God, when you're channeling that divine understanding that you are it as it is all, and you are part of all, therefore you are all, in a sense, you are it. If you say that out loud, I am God, one time, and it gets taken out of context over and over and over and over and over again, people will be like, oh, he said he was God. He acknowledged he is God. And there can only be, and then there's this, the human mind will be like, but there is one God, therefore he is the one God. No, dude, he is part of a system of God. And it is easy to forget that everyone else is also God, that we are all part of this creation aspect, this flowing nature, this spiraling force that's reversing entropy and pulling data together to form matter.
Venus also is the goddess of love and beauty and fertility, also the dawn goddess, who is known in Latin as Lucifer.
And it's cool to see people trying to familiarize themselves with Gnosticism. There are a lot of resources out there that'll help you learn about it, even just the basics. But as much as I love these different kinds of Gnostic resources in the mainstream, these guys can be a little bit too literal at times. If we're not looking at the characteristics of these gods, and we're only looking at the etymological connection between them, just the evolution of the names of these deities as they're handed down to different cultures throughout history, it doesn't really give us a very useful understanding of who these gods actually were to our ancestors. And it can make us blind to the hearts and the minds of the different gods that they were worshipping. Just because two gods have similar names and take similar ranks and roles does not mean that they're the same God. And I think that this is something that's missed by
I really
the
like this guy,
mainstream
and I really like that he made a video that got 46,000 views about this, because this is very important for people to kind of integrate into their understanding of history. Is that just because something has the same name and sounds similar doesn't mean it's the same person or that it's even real.
We would love to believe that because we can pinpoint the etymological evolution of a god's name through different cultures in history, that we should be able to automatically deduce exactly who those gods were. But we can't know these gods just by their names and their ranks. To know these gods, we have to watch their actions. I think that the names of some of those gods were mixed up over time. And I think that sometimes that was done on purpose, to confuse us.
I'm subscribing
and
to Armored Skeptic right now. You should also do that. If you and you're enjoying this video, click the subscribe button, search the title, do it. Love him. This is good.
Slaves to Rome in the Catholic Church. Better slaves to Babylon. What if some of the deities that we were taught were evil are actually good? And what if some of the gods that we were taught were good are actually evil? What if the all-powerful sky god we were led to believe is our father is actually the most evil one of them all? Who truly is
Dude,
the
if a guy's
devil?
telling you that he's the primordial essence of all, like, that's the most evil thing someone can tell you. I am the one. Worship me the most. You're like, dude, that's the most horrible thing you can say. If it was a human, if it was the psychological experience of I am one, even then, the spirits that come to you and explain things to you aren't claiming to be God. They will tell you very clearly they're not God. They are trying to figure out what God is also. They kind of have an idea of it because they have that high frequency perception capability, and they're like, I think it's the force at the center of the galaxy or the universe. At least the one spirit told me that, showed me that. He didn't really say it with words, but he expressed that to me with a vision. When I asked him, what is God? He showed me the vortex. I was like, but he was like, I don't know, but we think. He explained it was more than just him, think that it's this vortexual. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, like the black hole. And it was like this like calm understanding between us, the spirit and I, when we were coming to that resolution. All right, I think this video is excellent. I don't want to. I've only watched 6 minutes of a 40-minute video. I'm going to stop there because it was excellent, and I think he makes extremely good points. And I could watch the whole video, but I called this stream Crossland Gaming because I wanted to play some Mass Effect. What do you guys think about what's been said so far and these interesting concepts? Because I've been very focused on the video. And I'm going to go back and read some of your chats. I got GB Daniello in the chat. Just want to say, hey, man, good to see you. Jessica Clarity also shouting out, gave yourself a DMT trip during meditation. Isn't that fascinating? I feel like sometimes when I lay down and compress I think it's the cerebral cortex, or the medulla oblongata. It's the lower back part of the brain. Is this, not the cerebral cortex. What I'll do is... The cerebral cortex is more in the center. It's this area, for sure, the medulla oblongata. What a funny word. Medulla oblongata. Yeah, I think it is that. It's this. I'm pulling it open when I'm laying in a sort of meditative... Right here, check this out. This part of the brainstem, where the brainstem sort of... the base of where it attaches to this big node that then attaches into your brain. Like, I'll pull it up. I'll take the back of my brain and lift it. But what I'll do is I'll lay it down on like a pillow and then like stretch my body down, but keep my head up, and it'll pull it up like the back. It'll pull this part, which is the back bottom part of the brain. It'll like lift it, and it will stretch this. And it will cause like some sort of flow channel right here. I'll pull this up in the middle. Like a flow, it'll open it up, the channel, and the blood and the chemicals will start to flow. And I'll start to get this vision. This like, first it'll be a feeling, a familiar feeling that happens when I do this stretch. And I'll get this vision of a flat gray plane that looks like I think of it as mouse fur. I don't know why. I had a gray mouse when I was a little kid. We called her Snuffy, named after Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street. Snuffy was the gray mouse, and I would play with her a lot and like have her in my hand. And I guess I looked at her gray fur a lot. So just as a child, I was like an 8-year-old or whatever, 9-year-old Snuffy. I'd play with Snuffy a lot, and we had mice in a cage in a big terrarium, and we'd play with them different. We had one called Ninja that we would lift by her tail, and she'd kick a lot. We were like, Ninja. She was inbred, didn't last very long. That one. That was Snuffy's child. That was Snuffy's. Snuffy gave birth to a bunch of little ones. Michael, we called one, and I think Michael impregnated Snuffy, her own son, and then Snuffy gave birth to an inbred. Well, Ninja was not so inbred, but then there's this little black one that was really sick. That was sad. So anyway, Snuffy got a bunch of tumors, but lived a very long time for a mouse. Had all these tumors on her. It was crazy, but she was still kicking it. Snuffy had the gray mouse fur, and I'll get this vision of this flat plane when I'm doing this stretch, usually when I'm laying down, and it opens up, and I'll be pulling away from it. I'll be like going fast. I'll be like it's in space. It's like this flat, ever expansive plane. Like there's no edges to it. It's just a flat plane in front of me, and I'm backing away from it super fast. So it's getting much smaller as I'm backing away from it. Super fast. I'm going away. But as it's getting smaller, it's expanding outward in every direction at the same speed. So it doesn't look like it's getting smaller. It's getting bigger, but further away. So it looks like it's staying the same shape, but I can tell it's getting further away and bigger. And it's this like wild expansion of flavor in my brain. I don't even know if it's DMT related. But just what you said about having DMT meditations makes me remember this meditation in particular. And it's a feeling that happens where it's like this almost like neurally refreshing observatory force. I don't know how to explain the contradiction of understanding is like two things are happening at once to maintain homeostasis. It's getting bigger and further away, and it still looks the same. And it's like, wow, this like expansive, epic opening.
Ian, keep being you.
Be like me, Quispy Joe. Be like you, but indulge the parts of me that you like in yourself. If you want unsolicited advice, because you just gave me some, the whole keeping, and I thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And also I appreciate the compliment, dude. I was actually thinking when I was talking about the semicolon earlier, I'm like, oh wow, am I like teaching information? Am I all of a sudden a teacher? And it's like, okay, ego, but like, good Lord, the opportunity to go on a stream and like deliver some information you've learned over your life in a fun, interesting, memorable way. God, this is like kind of our purpose as humans in a lot of ways on Earth. I mean, some purpose of humans is to build grand architecture, but I think it might be part of my calling in life. I enjoy clearly expressing information that I've learned. I just love learning. And a lot of times teaching is like another form of learning because I'm like reiterating the concept in a simpler form than how I learned it, or in a more concise manner. So it's like I'm re-administering it in my own perception, my perceptual cortex. Anyway, I digress again, and thank you very much for the super chat. And I will keep being me, man, to the best of my ability, and you do the same. Thank you, Quispy Joe. So, a connectedness of humanity. I want to hear more about your meditations, Jessica, about how you seem to identify with what the meditation I was talking about. Exactly. Quispy Joe with a very insightful super chat here. Let the machine read it out loud. No, it doesn't. Ego can be very positive and very good. It's the balancing of the ego. When people are like, yo, bro, you got an ego. Like, well, duh, we all have an ego. That's the sense of self. But it's when you have an inflated ego. And it's like, okay, well, no ego inflation here. Or if you have a diminished ego, it's like, bro, snap out of it. Shake out of it, man. Come back. We need you. We need your ego in full force. We need it to be agile. We need it to be alive and well and willing to take hurt. Like last night on that Timcast IRL. I don't know if you guys watched the episode, but it was pretty fun. Aaron Wexler was on, who great friend of mine. I love her. Every time we see each other, it's a great time. This is really the second time we hung out, but I was on a show with Luke Rutkowski when she was on when we first met. I was like, oh, I love this girl. She's gorgeous and like hilarious and like funny. And then I saw her last night. I was like, oh, I love you, Aaron. I love you. And she's like, all right, you're done. Stop talking. I'm the captain now. That's it. You're done. And I was like, my ego was hurt and it was in my stomach. It went down and I was like, and I was like, oh, and I started to get enraged. And I was like, but I'm making a point about the British Empire. And I was like, really like becoming emphatic. And it's like, that's not how you deal with someone when they want to slow you down. You slow down, get traction, and then you're able to, all I had to do was be very calm and listen and then give a simple response, and it would have been more helpful. But instead I was getting louder and kind of aggro, and she was like, okay, you're doing it wrong, out of it, stop. And then I looked and I kept going. Tim was like, Ian, stop talking. I'm like, my ego is getting crushed, but my ego had gone out of control at that point. I was like getting louder and I was like, I sat back and I was like, I'm done. Part of me was like, I want to get up and walk out of here right now. And I was like, I do kind of have to pee, but if I leave, it's going to look like I just walked out of the show. And I'm like, I'm just going to relax. I'm going to let this happen. And then I was realized like, oh, I did make my point. And having a little bit of humiliation, a little bit of humility actually is worth it to get that point across about the British king's power. A lot of people remembered that. And in the comments, there were people that were upset and were like, I like monarchy, Ian, you're such a piece of shit. But other people were like, what he said was true. The king has the power to appoint the governor general who can dismiss parliament. And I made the point. And it was in a way that was because of my own ego inflation at the moment and Erin's ability to rein me in through her ego was like, I will match your ego. You're the child now. You're done. So you're silent. And Tim, like, Ian, really shut the fuck up. And I was like, okay, all right. You're both right and it hurts. But that's it, man. That's like being able to control your ego, because if you're going to let it get out of control, you've got to let it get under control. And it doesn't always feel good. It's like the humiliation is like, whew. But humility, it's a virtue. And shout out to Funkmaster General with the 5 gifted subs, dude. I called this stream Crossland Gaming. I should have called it just Crossland Live. Yesterday I went live and called it Crossland Live because I didn't know if I was going to be gaming or not. So many more people came. I think people are coming and they're like, oh, he's just going to play some fucking video game. No, man, we're chatting. We're talking about shit. It feels fucking good. Well, I'm talking. A bunch of people are chatting in the text, but... And at some point we should do more video chats. It's just right now the stream of consciousness stuff is like everyone should go live. I mean, everyone. I'm not a communist, but if any part of you is like, what if I could? Yes, you can, and you should. It is one of the most clarifying, clearing. Even if you got 2, 3, 6 people in the chat, it doesn't matter, dude. Even if there's no one in the chat and you're just talking to a camera, when you're streaming your thoughts, when you're flowing, it improves your memory. It gives you confidence. You'll build skills. Like I guess you get out of it what you put into it. But what I get out of it is like I'm becoming better memory. That's like one of the things I'm learning. There's just so many benefits to clearing your mind through communication and streaming. And so calling it Crossland Live might just be the better move, because I don't know if I'm going to be gaming. I planned on gaming, but this is much more interesting at the moment, talking about the brain and learning about God and spirituality and talking about meditation and all these really cool things. The British Empire. I love this stuff. The first thing I called it Crossland Gaming in the first chat was, the British king something. And I was like, oh shit, here we go. We're talking about what really matters. Maybe Mass Effect can wait. So I think from now on I'm going to call the streams Crossland Live. And if they pivot into a game while I'm live, whatever. It's a more enticing, I think it's a more enticing title. Anyway, I digress for the third fucking time in the last hour. Hey, Funkmaster, thank you again. The 5 gifted memberships, absolutely huge, dude. Every time you do that is a banger. It is fucking huge. And I'm like, I wonder if he's going to get... Thank you, dude. It's a trend-setting behavior that is super cool, dude, and you really keep the stream going, man. That is massive. We got Moena Anonymous. I wonder who that is. Owl Knight. Oh, no, Owl Knight made a chat in there. It's Mrs. Hayes, Grasslands G, and Ryan Durkin got gifted memberships from Funkmaster General, so thank you guys, and thank you to Funkmaster for pushing that out there. What'd you say here? You got the vibes that Aaron was Intellectual High Road, you then stopped the conversation because she knew she doesn't know enough to defend her point. Well, there was part of it where I was like, I was making a pretty good point, and she was like, look, dude, just not, okay, you made the point. And because I was being really emphatic about it. And this is what I'll tell people. I think I'm going to go on IRL tonight as long as there's a space. I think there's going to be space. It was I was being overly emphatic about the point. I don't need to be so emphatic about the things I believe, especially in a conversational zone. I can make the point and just let it sting, you know, let it ride. And I was being really obsessively pushy about it. So she was kind of like, bro, come on, enough's enough for now. And then we joked about it over the course of the show. And she was like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm like, no, you're going to live a long time. You're awesome. She's great. Highly recommend Erin Wexler. Check her out from last night. Follow her on Instagram. She's about 8 months. She's been doing this full time. She just transitioned out of working with artificial intelligence. And really smart girl. Untapped vault of knowledge at this point. I'd like to hang out with her and get to know her better. So here's to many more shows with Erin Wexler. Do I like bardcore music? Probably. Bardcore version of We Didn't Start the Fire? Let's check it out. I mean, it sounds like my style of music for sure. We Didn't Start the Fire I used to listen to on tape in 1988 or whatever it was. And I would listen to that song over and over and over and over and over and over. And I'd rewind it and I'd listen to it again. We did that beginning. Was it? When I pass a Jody Way, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio, Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker Television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. We didn't start the fire. I don't think it goes right into the chorus there. It was always burning since the world's been turning. It's Billy Joel. And I thought it was like, I was a kid, you know, I was like 9 or 10 or something when I got into that song. I didn't know that he had like the array of music. I was just like, this song is like my favorite song. There was a year where I would tell everyone my favorite song was We Didn't Start the Fire. He's such a phenomenal talent, Billy Joel, that's for sure. Hey, check it out. We got the stream yesterday has 4,800 views. Crossland Live. My other streams have been getting like 750 views. Yesterday's was almost 5,000 views. That's really, really, really good to go live in the morning and to have 5,000 views on the live stream. It's not the number. It's that I had 7 times more views. I went live in the morning, which I normally have been streaming at night. I went live in the morning, got 7 times the views on a video where I just talked. No video games. It was just talking. And I was basically just channeling. I wasn't even interacting with chat. I was just kind of just talking and talking and talking. I was a little bit like kind of what we're doing today. I was chatting a little bit back and forth, responding to the super chats and stuff, and the bit cheers and everything. But that's really, really, really positive feedback that it did that well. 96% like rate. I mean, most of the streams get 100%. The live streams get like 100% like rate, which is really cool. Really, really, really cool. Like the people that care to comment on the video like it. I mean, it's just me hanging out, playing video games. What's not to like? No, I'm just. But it's fucking 98%, 98%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 98%, 100%, 96%. I must have said the word fuck too many times. Who knows what I said? 100%. This one's got 100% so far with 15 likes. Like the video. Boost that shit. If you like the video, click the button. Like that shit. And I'm talking about YouTube. Like it on Twitch if you can. I think you can. Follow me on Twitch and YouTube and X too. Let me see if I can edit the name of this to just Crossland Live really fast. Yeah, I think I can. That's cool if I can just change it. I like that phrase, Crossland Live. Yeah, I just changed it to Crossland Live. That's cool. All right. I love this technology. Compared to like 2007 when we got started, it's so streamlined. It's called Stream Labs OBS. It's really, really fluid and streamlined that I can just go in, click a couple buttons, and I'm live on multiple networks. Don't have to go in and find a little chat room that's obscure and then send a link to my other channel to pump it. I'm just YouTube, X, Twitch, go live. Name it. The description's already all saved for me. I just put in what game it's going to be or just chatting. and title it, and the title's saved from yesterday, so it's going to be the same title and the same game. And then bang, man, we're live. I do have to go into YouTube and monetize it. I kind of feel bad monetizing it and then playing copyrighted stuff, but what YouTube's got a really good system where it will just divert the monetization money to the copyright holder. So I'm actually making money for the people that I'm watching, which is a big upgrade. Really, actually, it's a very, very good network. I wanted to pull up this Bard Core. We didn't start the fire. Huge fan. I mean, I love bards in general. Dude, you know Bard Rock's the hottest shit on earth. I mean, I love like
Hey Ian, what do you recommend for anger problems?
Aquitaine. He sings about Aquitaine, which is that southern west part of France, this ancient kingdom. I want to answer your question there, 0453. What do you recommend for anger problems? One thing to do is to fix up your diet. That's big. That's really good. Less stimulants. What'll happen is it'll come out as sadness. I think first. I can't speak for everyone. You don't always know what's going to happen, but I think it comes out as sadness because I think a lot of anger is like unresolved sadness or like unexpressed sadness. And like, I think if you cut back on the stimulants, like less coffee, less cigarettes, less sugar, things like that, and you like slow down your diet, it'll start to come out as sadness and you'll crying. And it's like crying in front of people. It's super humiliating and weak. It looks weak. I was talking to Stephanie about this last night, actually. I was like, I showed some weakness on the show because I was talking about IRL from earlier in the night. I talked to her after the show. She was like, it's not weak. That's masculine to be able to access that part of yourself and acknowledge that emotional vulnerability. I was like, I was explaining that I thought the vulnerability was a form of weakness. Like, you got to show weakness. She's like, no, that's strength. Showing vulnerability is strength. And to have a beautiful woman in my life that tells me that is like, thank God to hear that. I didn't expect that. And wasn't in that train of thought at the time. And just to have a friend express that to me, I was like, God, I need you in my life, Stephanie. Thank you for people like you. Is like, that is what life is about, is finding someone in your life to remind you that it's okay to be vulnerable. And it's actually very strong to be able to maintain a channel of vulnerability. So I think that's kind of a path out of anger, is finding humility in the pain of vulnerability. Obviously, you don't want to go on the battlefield and start crying. It's not like that. It's just about like when you're in environments of like civil rest, you find the feelings, and that's like the overarching way out. And I think that it kind of starts with diet. Probably, for working out actually helped a lot for me. Working out and diet together. Working out, and my trainer, it was when I had a personal trainer, Brandon, from Fire and Water Gym. If you guys are in like the West Virginia, Maryland area, Fire and Water, great gym. Brandon's an excellent trainer. He's the guy that trained me for Tim Pool's music video, Eyes of Advice. And he was telling me, like, your legs, when you do leg day, it tends to be very emotional for people when they do leg day. And I definitely went through that. I'd been going through a breakup at the time, and like a lot of stuff had been bottled up, and there was a lot of opportunity for stuff to come out as anger during that time. And because of I would cry. I would do the legs, and then like later in the day, I'd start crying, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's like, hey man, at least I wasn't getting angry. And then we're able to maintain a one beautiful friendship, like the girl that I was splitting with, or we're still like, she's so awesome, dude. Like I was able to channel the anger into sadness, which, it's not a perfect fix, but God, life ain't perfect. It never is. I hope that helps. Maybe that was a perspective you weren't expecting, and maybe helps. And let me know how it goes, because a lot of it is communication too, being able to relay your process. Oh yeah, let's go back and listen to a little bit of this Billy Joel Bard Rock. Eleanor of Aquitaine. I'm not going to keep stopping it. I just got to look up Eleanor of Aquitaine. He's such a genius, Billy Joel, dude. France, Queen and Consort of England, Duchess of Aquitaine, 1200 AD. Like, he's a history buff, you know? Who's the second guy he mentions? Joseph VI has gone insane. Joseph VI has gone insane. Who is that? Joseph from Genesis? I don't know. All right, let's fucking roll this shit. This is Bard Rock, Charles VI. Oh, he's reading it here. Here's the lyrics. Charles VI hath gone insane. Of Austria, nickname for the beloved, and in the 19th century, he was nicknamed the Beloved. Oh, and then there was the 19th century, the Mad. So there's a Charles VI in the 19th century, the Mad of France, King of France. Is that the same guy? Looks like there were a few of these guys. Charles VI. Anyway, let's let Billy Joel Bard. This isn't Billy Joel, by the way. This is the Bard Rock version of Billy Joel. Some killer bard singing this shit. Yeah, Treadbowl, take the anger out in a punching bag. But it's like, that doesn't resolve the anger. It just helps you loosen it up and get it. And then you can like start to. But a lot of it is communication about what's going on. Like, if you're able to like, a therapist helps a lot. Having someone that you can like cry to. And like, or not, you don't have to cry, but like talk about why you're angry, because the anger is and sadness too are like results of something that's happening. And if you're able to kind of feel like, just acknowledge what's happening or what happened, but your past is still happening to you. Like, everything that's happened in your life is still happening. You'll have memories of it, which are real right now. That is you, who you are. It is happening in you and to you, with you. It is still happening with you. So if you can organize that and structure that and like communicate it out to someone and like basically make it real, what you're doing is you're like realizing it. And it can come, and tears can come out, and sometimes it can get, it can get angry, but if you've loosened yourself up with like working out and fixing your diet up, it tends not to be so angry, from my experience. And it comes out as sadness, which is much more manageable. Sadness, at least you're still kind of in control. With anger, it's like almost impossible. Anger is probably the worst failure of human emotion. So loosen it up and then realize it, the root cause of it. And let the sadness flow. It's transformative. It is a weird pussy-ass feeling, man, when you're like, God, I'm such a bitch. What is wrong with me? But it's like, dude, no, you're expressing, but you're realizing what happened and what's happening. And that's what it is. It's a realization of truth, of reality. A bit redundant to say realization of reality. But that's what it is. All right, from the top, and I'm going to let it play through. Release the fire. He's changed the lyrics. So this is like a parody. Okay, yeah. If you want We Didn't Start the Fire, you're going to want to listen to Billy Joel. We Didn't Start the Fire. This is not it. This is a different song about more guitar right now. That song is so fucking good, dude. We did not start the fire. We didn't start the fire. I'm gonna hit the bathroom before I do it, but I gotta get the mic set up. This song is like my favorite song from my childhood. This and Kokomo by the Beach Boys. Those are like my two favorite songs from like before our age 10. Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray. What a great song. Singing about what matters of the time. Like, this is about as... It wasn't really a political song because it didn't have a message about any of it, really. It just was acknowledging a lot of the people involved in the chaotic times of the day. So I guess in that sense it was a political song, but it wasn't like a song like Creedence Clearwater Revival, singing about being born with a silver spoon in your mouth and then not having to go to Vietnam. Like, that was like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with society right now? The government is fucking us and they're not sending their kids, but they're sending our kids and we're done with it. That was like, I would consider that a very political statement. It kind of got incited the end of Vietnam, the Vietnam War in a lot of ways. A song would inspire people to be like, yeah, you're right. This song was more like just kind of an observation of the people. I'll be right back. But like another thing was, it's not really just about the chaos of the times. He's singing about like Joe DiMaggio. He's just singing about like well-known people and mostly people, I think. It's mostly people. It might all be. I don't know if he sings if every line's about peoples. I think he also sings about things. Rock around the clock. Einstein, James Dean. Brooklyn's got a winning team. Is it? Brooklyn's got a winning team. There's a fly in here. I'm going to smack with the fly swatter. He doesn't know it yet, but he going to get it. All right, let's make sure this second mic works too. Testing. All right, both microphones are active. Oh, crap. I might have to I think I've got a... Yeah, there's a lot of lyrics in this song. I'm going to have to... Whoa, this is a long textual experience, so this is going to take me a minute to transcribe it so that I have it all in front of me, because I have not memorized all the lyrics. I know a lot of them, but I would not say that I've memorized We Didn't Start the Fire. The song's so good, man. You stupid fly. Go away, dude. Go fly in the other room, bro. I don't want to insult you. You're a brilliant fly, and you deserve to live, so go elsewhere for your own safety. You'll thank me later, man. I'm about to go into hunt mode if this thing buzzes by me a couple more times, but I really want to get this out of the way. Let me do this here. This song is so worth it. Oh, fly. He's having fun. And he smells me. Yo, dude. Let me see if I can just whip this out really quick. Sometimes I like go in and I make the font, like I'll bold the chords. Yo, fly. I just equipped my fly swatter. It was like an animation where it came out and like equipped into my arm. My God, there's so many lyrics, dude. Oh, I want to play this all the way through, but it's too many lyrics. I don't have them all written. Maybe I can make it really small and see them. Wow, those lyrics are very small on the page. Is this possible? F11? That's full screen. Okay. Yes. The lyrics are very, very tiny on my page, but I think I can pull this off. I was actually going to play Horizon's Gate this morning. I started playing. No, it's not a... No, I took the stink bug outside yesterday right after the stream ended. There was a stink bug that climbed up on my camera. I was getting emotional. He turned and looked at me. I looked up and he was like looking right at me, and his antenna were up like this. I was like, dude, he was like right in the middle of the camera. I was like, oh my gosh, hello. And then he started climbing, and I ended the stream, and then I put him on a piece of paper and took him outside and went and blew him out into the wind. It was a warm day, so he at least got to enjoy that. I feel bad about killing. Sometimes I'll be like, God, what if that's me? What if it's my karma? Is God's like, all the bugs you killed and just were thoughtlessly destroyed, they were all living creatures, man. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry for what I've done. But like at the same time, man, infestation's no joke. It's like life or death, like creature eat creature, you know? Treadbull. I really want to play Mass Effect. I'm about to play Mass Effect. I think I'm going to pull that up within the next 20 minutes and start playing Mass Effect. Also, Horizon's Gate is phenomenal. I got you. Oh, that fly, dude. Hit it in an angle. I need a wide shot to nail this thing. What I really got to do is stand up and not sit down like this and try and get a thing at an angle. All right, let's knock this song out to the best of my ability. It's a G. It's Harry Truman, Doris Day, Red China, Johnny Ray, South Pacific, Walter Winchell, Joe DiMaggio. Joe McCarthy, Richard Nixon, Studebaker, Television, North Korea, South Korea, Marilyn Monroe. Rosenberg, H-Bomb, Sugar Ray, Parmesan, Brando, the King and I, Catcher in the Rye, Eisenhower vaccine, England's got a new queen. Does he go up there? Eisenhower vaccine. Yeah, it goes up, yeah. Eisenhower vaccine, England's got a new queen. Macchiato, Liberace, said Diana goodbye. We didn't... Does he go up there? We didn't start the fire. He done that high. We didn't start the fire. Does he go low? It was always burning since the world's been turning. Oh, fly. I'm not getting distracted. We didn't start the fire. Is it too loud? How's that sound, by the way? I got my microphones in position. I think they're in the right spot. I don't want to be too loud in the microphone. Fucking whack-ass job. I'm about to stand. If I stand up, that fly's going to be like, oh shit. And he's going to go hide. So I got to be really calm. He liked the song. He was out here dancing, flying around as I was singing. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light it, but we're trying to fight it. Joseph Stalin, Melenkov, Nasser, and Prokofiev, Rockefeller, Campanella, Communist Bloc, Roy Khan, the words are very small. Roy Khan, Juan Perón, Toscanini, Denkran, Dien Bien Phu, Jen, Ben, Proof, Falls, rock around the clock. Einstein, James Dean, Brooklyn's got a winning team. Davy Crockett, Peter. Nope. Einstein, James Dean, Brooklyn's got a winning. It's been a long time since I've listened to this song. Einstein, James Dean, Brooklyn's got a winning team. Brooklyn's got a winning team. David Crockett, Peter Pan, Elvis Presley, Disneyland, Bordeaux, Budapest, Alabama cruise ship, Princess Grace, Peyton Place, trouble in the Suez. I fucking nailed him. I just didn't want him to fall in my coffee. Yeah, I don't think he didn't fall in my coffee. I lost track of him after the smack. Sometimes I hit them and they just disappear. And I'm like, did I kill them or did I scare them? I don't think flies scare that easily. Or if they do, they have a very short attention span and they don't, or the very, very short memory, and they don't remember getting scared. Marcus, you know, what kind of question is that? That's a personal question for Tim. I'm not I don't actually have I'm not an employee of Timcast. So if I have a contract with Tim, the contract is still active. Yeah, I got a contract with Tim that hasn't been effective. But what he's going to do with his business is up to him to decide, and he'll tell people in time whatever he wants to tell people. I was telling people earlier on the stream, I really only iterate what's been said publicly. What's really what I'm comfortable talking about, legally obligated, and ethically, I think is the right move, and I feel is the right move. Yo, Jonas the Artist, my favorite song of all time. I don't know. Yeah, I think I got that fly on that one. That was a nice shot. I got it at an angle, but the nice thing about these fly swatters is they can't feel them coming because they have all those holes in them. Like if you try and hit it with a flat object, they feel the wind coming, and the wind pushes them away as it's coming down. But these things, man, great tool. All right, let's get back into it now that fly's not here to distract my thing. A little bit more. I got to practice this and listen to it a few times to really master. But this would be a good cover that I could put up on YouTube. I also saw that post, Eric. That B string's unique. Something about the B string. I like it a lot. My favorite song of all time. That is a tough question, man. It's a tough question, dude. There's so many good songs. I can give you like a top 5. I mean, I think I would always tell people Jeremy by Pearl Jam. I was just listening to Hey Ya earlier. Let me see about Hey Ya. Is that easy to play? Oh, you think you got it. Oh, you think you got it. Hey Ya, I was getting like elevated listening to that. 1, 2, 3, go! My baby don't mess around because she love. Oh, it says on the C. Because she love me so, and this I know for sure. Oh my God, does she really want us? She can't see me walk. Come on, let's from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. My baby don't mess around because she love me so, and this I know for sure. Ah, my God, but does she really want me? Can't she stand to see me walk out the door? Ooh, oh, don't try to fight the feeling, but the thought alone is killing me right now. For mom and dad for sticking great song. Hey, hey, This is my favorite verse. Oh, you think you got it? Oh, you think you got it? Forgot it. You think you got it? Oh, you think you got it? Forgot it. Just don't get it when there's nothing. Come on. First time I've ever played this song. I like it. You think you got it? Oh, you think you got it? Forgot it. Just don't get it till there's nothing at all. We're together. Oh, we've been together. But separate's always better when there's feelings involved. But there's two guys singing it, making that noise in the background is overlapped, so it's tough to make that noise and sing the next line because he's taking a breath while the other guy's like, but that's what makes the song. If what they say is nothing is forever, what makes the love. So why you be so into now when we know we're not happy here? That's one of my favorite songs. I don't know. I just heard it earlier. I love that song. I apologize. Didn't warm up my voice in any case. I've been drinking a lot of coffee, so my voice isn't really in musical capacity right now. But it should be 24/7. If I want to live a life of a creator and an artist, I should always be ready to go. Also, I didn't shave, so I kind of look like a fucking haggard mess on IRL last night because that lighting in there does not. It's this one handles low light pretty well, but in there it's pretty bright, and my hair looks kind of blown out on my face when I go. I got to shave if I'm going in there before I go in there tonight. Hey Ya's a good one. I always loved Jeremy by Pearl Jam, but that was like my favorite in my teenage years for sure. If people ask me, I was like, yo, Jeremy. It was Kokomo when I was younger. I loved MC Hammer. You Can't Touch This. That was a big favorite of mine in my early days. I like that song by The Police. It's called You think it's better than video games? It's good in its own way, ain't it? Video games are cool too, though. Video games are fun. Depends on the game, I guess. I really liked guest hosting that game jam. That was really fun. It's called like what's the Police song where it's like something 2? Not Idiosyncrasy 2. It's like Synergy 2 or like Synchronicity. Synchronicity 2 by The Police. My dad used to play that a lot in the car. We'd go on road trips. 1983, off their 1983 album. Synchronicity 2 chords. The Police are fucking wild, man. Sting and his band of 3. Those guys were like... Another suburban morning. Family morning. Dude, Sting. What a specimen of a human that guy is. Another suburban family. Woo! I gotta loosen up my voice if I want to sing this stuff. Another suburban family morning. It goes, and what they play here, the bassist is. C minor 7. Oh, it's this. Grandmother screaming at the wall. Be-dee-dee-dee-doo, doo-dee-dee-dee-doo. I used to listen to that as a kid for that part where it's like, because the guitarist is a genius. He's such a good guitarist. The songs are just wild. Some of these chords. So another suburban family morning. That integrated that into so many of the songs I've written in my life. I love that. That like rhythm and usage of notes, like 1 3 3 3 3 1 1 will be like 3 3 3 3 3 3 1 3 3 3 3 3 1, like that pattern. I fucking love it. I love it so much. I'll put it behind stuff when I'm playing stuff. It became a part of me because this song, listening in the car when I was like 6 or 5 or whatever, when we go and driving around, my dad's got the Police in the fucking tape deck, singing along. This song particularly, and then the chorus, dude. Many miles away, something crawls. What's a G6? These chords are wild. Something crawls from the slime. These fucking chords. From the slime. The bottom of a dark Scottish lake. This is one of my favorite songs, I think, of all time. It's like better da 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 better da 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 da. Wonder why. Is that right? Yeah. Mother Chancer litany of boredom. I don't know what the B7 is. Boredom and frustration. Is that the B minor? Sorry, I'm putting up with me practicing is like not why I went on stream right now. Normally I like to play things that I know, keep it concise and move on to the next thing and keep it entertaining. Right now I'm like, how do I do what? I'm learning slowly. This is part of why I haven't been playing Horizon's Gate on stream. I put 80 hours into the game in the last couple weeks, but it's like the whole game is me doing math. I'm like sitting there staring at the screen, thinking about how to do the next tactic. And I'm like, this would not make an interesting stream. And I did take a week off streaming because of it, because I was just pouring myself into the game, but which is not very responsible of me as a gaming streamer. I should be active and be on here with you guys and be producing. But I was like, I can't imagine this is going to be interesting. I mean, it's not like a lot of people, well, a lot. Relative to yesterday, I had 100 and some people live watching. It was pretty cool. Today, right now, there's 21 in the YouTube chat, so, you know. It's not like I'm trying to impress people, but I am trying to be entertaining. And I don't know. If you guys would want to see Horizon's Gate, let me know. It's a great fucking game. I just don't know how entertaining it would be on stream, but then again, how entertaining is watching me try and swat a fly, you know? Or working out Synchronicity 2 by the Police. When it's like, Mother Chancellor litany of boredom and frustration. Mother Chancellor litany of boredom and frustration. Fuck this shit. Daddy only stares into. We all know suicides are fake. I'm done. I'm fucking done. I'm done with the guitar, not with you. I could probably pull off some lower songs with lower vocals right now. I woke up and my voice was like it sounded like this when I woke up. I'm like, why is my voice so low right now? Too much salt last night. I was pretty tired. I didn't get to bed till like 2 something, and then I got up at 8. I was like, I got to stream. I want to stream morning again. Yesterday I got up at 8 and I started streaming, and it was really, really impressive for myself and for the stream. And I wanted to recreate that. But I was like, God, I'm fucking tired this morning because I did IRL last night. Normally, like yesterday, I went into the office at noon just to kind of meet up with everybody and do some computer management and take a look at what was going on. Because, Tim had mentioned that the computer had fucked off and like shut down. We think it might be the graphics card, but we got to test the machine. So I landed out there at Freedomistan at like noon. And I was working from there. Oh, yeah, right now my place is a mess. I just got all this new equipment. I'm in the process of packing, basically, for my road trip, which is going to be coming up. Got a bunch of wires here that's got to be... You know what? I'll probably, before I almost did this morning instead of went live, was spend the morning cleaning and organizing. But I thought, yeah, I'm kind of blocking it, so you don't really have to look at it while I'm on stream. And I wanted to stream. I was like, I'd rather stream than clean, but I have to force myself to get back into organization mode. I don't want to stop halfway through. I pulled all this shit out the other night, all these wires. They're all going in this bag here. These are all the wires that that I keep in my house that are kind of backup in like an old phone. I don't use this phone anymore. It's like an old Android. Galaxy, old Samsung Galaxy phone. Or Samsung, I might not be the Galaxy. And then I got a bunch of new stuff here. I got this beautiful carrying case. I'll show you. Just arrived this morning. Oh, here, I got all this stuff. I was showing yesterday on stream a bunch of the stuff that I got. So these are the Thunderbolt 4 cables I was talking about. These things transmit 100 watts of power, and they transmit data at I think 40 gigabits per 45 gigabits per second. Super fast charging cables, data and charging. These are hugely advanced. Probably the most advanced USB-C cable you can get right now is a Thunderbolt 4 cable. One of them. Got those. Got these mounts for the cameras. This is the camera that I was going to show you. So I got 2 of these cameras. The Canon Vixia G70s. These will be mounted on tripods for my show. I do interviews. I'm going to interview my dad. Going to interview Zena Radner. Going to interview Stephanie. They're not all necessarily going to be interviews.
British guy here. I'd love to debate you and
oh yeah, Melkor, please, let's do it, man. That sounds fascinating. We were just talking earlier about the Australian coup of 1975. I'd like you to defend that. If you're pro monarchy, I would love to hear your thoughts about the Australian coup of 1975 when they ousted Go Whitlam. Here, it's in fact, let me know right now what you think about that, Melkor, because I'll say it out loud. You don't have to super chat it. You can just put in the text and I'll read about it. I'll speak it up. But when Go Whitlam in 1975 was removed by the Governor General, who was the CIA's man, he was put there by the king. And then we had tight ties with the CIA, and the CIA had this guy and his entire government removed from power. They call it the coup of 1974, the Australian coup of 1970. So if you're cool with that kind of thing, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth or get aggressive or even position you in any particular way, but this happened in 1975. The king's man ousted Go Whitlam and his government because he wanted to get out of Vietnam. And he was very he wanted to end the U.S.'s lease on Pine Gap, their military base in the middle of Australia. He was very Australia first. And the king, who was basically working with MI6 and the CIA, put a governor general in charge of Australia to have this guy and his parliament removed. That's monarchy. That's modern monarchy. Definitely check out Go Whitlam. This shit's crazy as fuck, dude. I mean, I'll pull it up actually here so you can read it yourself. I don't want to just make people think that I'm We did go through this a little earlier, so I don't want to mince. Where was the Australian coup? I had a more succinct. Oh yeah, the Australian coup of 1975, government coup. They call it the Australian coup, or the dismissal, involved the removal of Prime Minister Gough Whitlam's Labour government by Governor General Sir John Kerr. John Kerr was the CIA. The CIA called him our man, a CIA whistleblower. Christopher Boyce came out and revealed that the CIA had infiltrated the Australian political and trade union and referred to Kerr as our man. So they put this Governor General in, who has the legal royal authority to dismiss the Prime Minister, and did. They dismissed the Prime Minister. I don't know if you've ever even learned about that before. As you said you were British, a British guy. Had you ever heard of the dismissal of Gough Whitlam and his government? Yeah, do you support that kind of governance? Wow, you support that kind of governance. Well, interesting concept, man. Yeah, I'm not that into like centralized government daddy authority. I like decentralized sovereignty of the citizen. So if your argument is that it's better to have someone in charge of you than to be in charge of your own life, I don't really want to debate that. That's just an impossibility, because that's like, I'm not going to, if someone's trying to tell me it's better to be a servant than a leader, like, no, come on, man. I'd rather play fucking Mass Effect, man, and create some magic. But I appreciate the super chat. I'm closing windows as we speak. Sorry if that came off as too aggressive, and feel free to flesh out your why you support that style of coup-oriented governance from like a centralized authority, being able to overthrow a government and replace it at the will of one man. Or having the intelligence agencies run your country. Like, tell me, you can always express why you support that kind of governance. All right, rolling out. I don't think Phil North Park, you asked why would Phil argue about that. I don't think Phil understands. I don't think he's ever even heard of that, the coup of 1975. I'd never heard of it. As an American, I was not taught that in school. That kind of conversation would never even have been broached upon by our imperial strategists that would have outlined our education system's teachings. They kind of don't want people to understand that the CIA and the MI6, through royal decree, by using the king, basically, or the emperor, or whatever you want to call him, can overthrow a prime minister and his cabinet. Like, they don't want you to know that, even though it's on the books. Like, if you look into it and read, they can't stop you from reading about it, but they don't want you to know about it. Because if you do, you might think about liberation. All right, I'm going to put on Mass Effect. Eric Schaefer, watch your fucking tone, man. Good to see you, buddy. Getting ready to fucking jam, dude. This has been a long time coming. Mass Effect. Oh, God, this game is huge, dude. This is a big, it's a big game. All right, it's happening now. I love Phil Labonte, by the way. I see you guys were talking about Phil Labonte in the chat. He's very easy to talk to. And the nice thing about Phil is he never pretends to know everything. And he really likes learning. Well, this music's loud. He really likes learning. And so he'll say, like, why do you think that thing? And instead of being like, dumb thing, dumb, bad, no. He'll be like, what? He might be like, no. But then he'll be like, why do you think that? And he's very, like, on it, like balanced. And I'll be like, because thing is like, because part A, part B, and part C. He'll be like, but I don't think thing is good because part B doesn't make sense here. And I'll be like, well, if part B is like this because of that, then it's possible that thing could malfunction. He's like, he'll just move on. He doesn't like, he's not in it to win it. He's in it to listen and learn and express himself. And if you don't express yourself clearly, he will not believe it. Like, he doesn't just accept bullshit. He's fantastic. He's a great, like, awesome musician, first of all, but how cool to be hanging out with a really smart guy that's, like, very in control of his life, you know, into military, into arms, like weapons and arms, and, like, owns his place up in the woods, and he's, like, super cool and very, very chill and logical. Great guy. A lot of people say that he and I should do a show together, and we basically do on IRL, because Tim likes it when we go at it and go back and forth. Most people do. I love Phil, man. We had one hangout where me and him, we drove to DC for some episode of IRL where we did where we went from Congress, and I rode down there with Phil, and we spent like 50 minutes in the car just like bonding, like chilling, like just listening to music. He was playing a bunch of math rock for him. I was like, oh shit, this is good as fuck, because he knows like good, like technically really sound. He enjoys like really technical sound technically sound musicians that are very quick, very good, and like tight. He really enjoys that aspect of music. And we're talking about everything, life, just hanging out. And that was like the first day we really spent a lot of time together. And I thought, he's like a guy I could be really good friends with. Here we go. I'm pulling up Mass Effect right now. But I gotta get my game screen on. Oh, here we go. Main game. Ooh, Mass Effect, dude. What a big fucking world game this is gonna be. You gonna pop it for me? You gonna do it? I'm gonna have to do it manually. So you can put to pick. This is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Hello there, Nobert Sykes. I don't have, I don't know why things happen with, I don't know why people, I can't really speak to why people do what they do. You know, I can give my outside observations about what I think about stuff like that. That's all. I think what Timcast does with its business is like not really, it's a sensitive topic for me because I'm a contractor with the company and I'm not really interested in talking about that stuff. You know, maybe internally with the company, 100% internally with the company, I work very tightly with my friends and my business partners and stuff, my compatriots. But it ain't drama to me. None of this bullshit's like entertaining drama in any way. Nerd beef with the fetch quest. But really, if you have questions about Timcast, you should ask Tim Poole, who's the owner. If you have questions about my companies, you should ask me, because I own them. Or I'll be part owners in them and stuff like that. In fact, if you want to learn about inverted technologies, you should. That is my tech company that I own with Philip Fisher. we're working on some open source software right now where I want to turn my website into a subscription platform. All right, I'm shutting down this stuff here, so I got more space. I gotta shut down a bunch of programs so this game can run smoother. Okay, I might have to upgrade my graphics card too. How's that audio? I might have to turn in Oh, Treadbull, you wouldn't be able to invest. I don't have any companies to invest in at the moment. None of them are public or anything. If we do a seed round, I'll definitely make it public. And I'll do it on my stream and elsewhere, but I don't think we really need outside investment for anything. Philip and I are funding it. We're funding Inverted Technologies together, and the overhead is very low. There's a charity that a friend of mine